What's up, guys? Welcome back. Leopazzo Productions. Thank you very much for tuning in. In today's video, this is the part 2 video all about the Osee Mega 22S4 production monitor. We're going to take a deeper dive into the menu and settings and specs and features. I'm going to demo some of these options that we have available to us. Guys, you don't need to wait to the end of this video to know and hear my final review about this monitor. It is jam-packed with a bunch of features, as you're going to see throughout the course of this video. Would I recommend it? 100%. I will leave some links down into the description down below so you guys can purchase this monitor, for an example, directly on their website or even on Amazon, and also any of the other products that I'm using throughout the course of this video. So with that being said, no further time wasted, we're going to jump right into it. But I definitely want to share this with you guys because to help you guys navigate through this video, because it's going to be a little bit onto the longer side, this part 2 video, I want to leave some video timestamp chapters down into the description so you guys can easily just kind of navigate to that section of the video, find the information you need, or maybe even reference later on into the future. So no further time wasted, let's go ahead, jump into it. Let's check out the Mega 22S4. All right, guys, to get you guys a little bit more familiar with the Mega 22S monitor, what I've done over here is connected 3 SDI inputs and also 3 HDMI inputs, and I've also connected the HDMI output from the monitor to my video switcher, which is actually the Osee Duet 8 video switcher live streaming recorder. And why did I send the HDMI out from this monitor to the video switcher? So I can actually record the output from this monitor onto the switcher, just so you guys can actually see this view right here, live view of me demonstrating and showing you what buttons I'm pressing, but to also see a view of the monitor itself, of all the menu and settings and all of that. So you'll understand what I mean as we go ahead and continue. So let's go ahead and get familiar over here, just starting off with the exterior features that we see over here at the front of the monitor. You can see starting onto the left hand side, we do have this button over here, which is going to allow us to toggle from all of the different inputs and layouts. We'll go ahead and press this shortly. Next over here, we do have F1, 2, 3, and 4 buttons, which we can custom configure to basically be a different multi-source layout that we want to, or it can actually be a quick function tool. Again, we'll demonstrate that as well. You'll also notice over here, we do have a USB port, which I've used to actually load my custom LUTs and also update the firmware. We do have a headphone jack over here so we can monitor the audio. And we do have the power on and off button at the front of the monitor. We do have the power on and off switch as well at the back of the monitor. And over here we have this little joystick style button, which we can either press up or down or left or right or scroll with it, and also push in as well. So this is a multifunctional joystick over here, which is actually very convenient and easy to use. So why don't we just go ahead and quickly demonstrate to get you guys a little bit more familiar. Let's start off with this button over here, which is going to take us from all of our different inputs. So currently right now, you guys are looking at my SDI input number 1. This is basically just coming from one of my PTZ cameras via SDI. So if we go ahead and press this button once, it's going to bring up this menu over here, and you can see into the top left, it is showing that we have SDI input number 1 set. But if I press it one more time, it's going to go to SDI input number 2. Just give it a couple of seconds and it's going to switch over to a full screen of SDI input number 2. And this view over here is actually coming from another one of my PTZ cameras just off to the side, just basically zoomed in over here to one of my mirrorless cameras, the Panasonic GH6. So if we go ahead and press this button again to open up the menu onto the side here, and press it one more time to go over to SDI input number 3, it's going to switch over to SDI input number 3, and there you go. We got a nice big view of my SDI number 3 input, which is actually coming from the OBSBot Tail 2 PTZ-R camera. Let's go ahead and press it again to open up that menu and switch over to HDMI input number 1. So here we go, HDMI input number 1. This is actually a view coming from my laptop right now. So I'm just basically playing a video from my laptop on loop of some drone footage shot with the DJI Mini 3 Pro. And this footage was actually shot in the cine-like profile, which is basically like a log profile. So it's like a flat image. And ideally, I might want to apply a LUT to this image, which I'm going to show you guys how we can do that into the monitor shortly. Let's just go ahead going through the rest of our inputs over here. So let's go ahead and press this button again so we can change our input from HDMI input number 1 now to view HDMI input number 2. So here we go, nice big view of the HDMI input number 2, which is actually coming from my Panasonic GH6 camera. And this camera, the GH6, is actually set to be filmed in the V-Log color profile, which is a flat profile. And again, we can go ahead and apply our own custom LUTs over here on the Mega 22S4 if we want to. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that shortly. Let's go ahead and switch over to HDMI input number 3. So here we have HDMI input number 3, and this was actually filmed with the Zcam S6 cinema camera in the Z-Log color profile, which is another flat profile. And again, we can add our own custom LUTs specifically for each one of our inputs. And that's exactly why I'm demonstrating this, so you guys can see that we can add our own custom LUTs specifically for each input. So now that you guys are a little bit more familiar with the button here at the side, that we're going to be able to select what input we want to view. But check this out. If we go ahead and press this button again, you can see that we have some more options over here, which is basically like a multi-source layout. So here's your first little demonstration. So now we got two 16:9 images side by side, picture by picture, and we can custom configure within the menu of the monitor on which inputs we actually want to be displayed here. So again, I do have 6 inputs connected to this monitor, so we can tell the monitor what images do we want to see side by side. So this view right here might be a good demonstration on when you want to do like filming like an interview, when you have camera A maybe a little bit wider and camera B maybe a little bit tighter, or vice versa. This is a nice layout right over here. Let's go ahead and press this button again to see the next multi-source layout over here that we have preset configured within this monitor. So you can see over here, now we got again two 16:9 images, but it looks like the way that we're viewing this monitor right now, they are upside down or kind of sideways. So what does that mean? Well, if you want to film a vertical video, this would be perfect because your camera would be sending a vertical video signal into the monitor. Or if you want to keep it as is because you want to be filming a horizontal landscape video, you can actually rotate this monitor right here onto the mount. So we can just rotate it 90 degrees vertically. The monitor would be positioned, and now we got two images basically side by side, but one above the other. Let's go ahead and press this button one more time to see the next multi-source layout that we have available here. So here we have 3 images coming in at the same time. And again, we can custom configure within the menu of the monitor which images, what video signals between the HDMI or the SDIs do we want to be displayed over here. So this is also another great layout as well. Let's go ahead and switch to the next one, which is the 4th option over here. In total, we have 7 different options to pick from. So here's another layout option. Onto the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that we have 2 videos, one on top of each other, both laid out into the landscape orientation. And onto the right-hand side, we do have this 16:9, but it actually looks like a 9:16. So this could be another example that you may want to use. And the 2 cameras onto the left will be filming for an example in the landscape mode. And maybe the camera number 3, the one onto the right-hand side, might be filming for social media content in the vertical portrait mode. So this is also a nice layout as well. Let's go ahead to the next option over here, which is option number 5. So option number 5, this is actually really nice. Look how beautiful this looks right now. Obviously, the way that I have the monitor mounted horizontally, we're not able to see these images the way that we want to, but we can simply rotate this monitor so we can see all 3 of these inputs, one on top of each other, which is an excellent, nice layout. I will give you guys an example shortly once I go ahead and rotate the monitor. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next option that we have available here. And check out this one. Here we have 4 inputs all together, multi-source, multi-view, all displayed on this nice, beautiful monitor over here. Let's switch to the final option over here to see what this one looks like. And take a look at this. Again, now we got 4 inputs, but we have our main input over here as the larger image onto the left-hand side of the screen, and we have our 3 other inputs over here onto the right-hand side of the screen. This is actually a really nice, convenient layout, just in case you have multiple cameras that you have connected to this monitor and you can view them all at the same time. So we're gonna use this joystick over here. We're gonna push it downwards, which is gonna open up this little top menu over here. And this top menu is giving us some information. Basically, if we push down one more time, it's gonna open up this menu with basically some more options over here. And right now we're underneath this gear icon, which is exactly where I want it to be. But for an example, if I wanted to adjust the volume of this video, if I wanted to adjust the brightness of the monitor, or if I wanted to dive in deeper into more settings, which is what I want to do, I'm gonna press down again one more time onto this joystick. And just to get to the point over here, we're gonna come over here to camera color, and we're gonna push this joystick over to the right hand side to enter this. And you can see that underneath HDMI input number 1, which we are currently looking at right now, it is currently set to the log/HDR, set to standard right now. But if I wanted to, we have a few different options. We can set it to log. And now we have all of these different color camera profiles. For an example, we got Arri, we got Blackmagic Design, we got Canon and Fuji and Nikon and so on, Panasonic, we got Red and Sony, etc. And then for an example, say we wanted the Sony, we can have different gamma colors as well. For an example, S-Log, S-Log2, S-Log3, etc. So in this case, what I'm going to be using is my own custom LUT. So I'm going to come back over here to log/HDR. And I'm going to scroll over here to user LUT. So now that I'm in user LUT, I'm going to come down over here to actually select which LUT I want to use that I've actually installed to the monitor with the USB stick over here, which I'll show you guys shortly. So right now I have it set to LUT number 10 because we can load 10 of them, or we can switch to LUT number 9. So I wanted to basically show you that I have 2 exact LUTs over here that I exported from the DaVinci Resolve. And you can see the naming over here, DJI Mini 3 Pro M3P. And this one is labeled as a 33-point LUT. And if you look over here, LUT number 9, this one is named the same, but it is named as a 65-point LUT. So basically what I'm trying to show you guys that this monitor does support 33-point LUTs along with 65-point LUTs as well, which is really nice. And HDMI input number 2, we can actually do the same thing. So for me to demonstrate this and for it to make sense, let's come back over here. Let's exit out of here first. Okay, we're gonna go to HDMI input number 2. Perfect, the monitor is switching over to HDMI input number 2. And again, don't forget, this is coming from the Panasonic GH6, the V-Log color profile, which is a flat profile, and I may want to apply a LUT. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. So press this joystick down. We're gonna press it down one more time to enter into the menu. We're gonna scroll down over here to camera color, and we're gonna come over here to the right and switch from standard to either log. Nope, I want to switch to user LUT. But you know what? Before I go ahead and show you the user LUT like I just did already, let's come over here and use the pre-set log and HDR options that we have available over here within the monitor. So these already all came within the monitor as a preset. So let's look for the one specifically for my camera, which is the Panasonic GH6. We're going to find Panasonic. We're going to scroll down here. And as you see, we have the V-Log option over here. And now we just applied that LUT. So just to go ahead and show you guys the before and after, that's log, and that is standard. Back to log, that is standard. So let's go ahead and demonstrate using my own user custom LUT. So which LUT do we want to use? Well, I believe I have saved this one for, is it LUT 8? Nope. LUT 9? Nope. LUT 10? Nope. I think it is LUT number 3. V-Log to Rec 709. Bingo. And we can also adjust the intensity as well in really fine increments, 1% increments. So we can actually dial this down if you wanted to, all the way to whatever percentage you want. And it's going to basically make it look exactly the intensity of that LUT, how you want it to be applied. In most cases, I always leave mine at 100%. And specifically for HDMI input number 3, right now this is standard, but in this case, I want to switch over to user LUT. And the user LUT that I want to use, I have right over here. So I have Zcam S6 LUT version 2, which is a -2 option. And we have the Zcam M4. So I have 2 of these similar camera models, the S6 and the M4. So I have a LUT for each camera. And again, just to show you that we can do the same things with SDI, SDI2, and SDI3. So all of our inputs, we can assign our own custom LUT for each input, which is fantastic. So next, let's go ahead and show you how to actually load your own custom LUTs into the monitor. So what you want to do is just load your LUTs onto a USB drive and then go ahead and push in that USB drive onto the monitor over there. And what we're going to do over here is come back to the same menu that we were in earlier. And in this time, we're going to go ahead and select load user LUT. So we're going to move this joystick over to the right hand side. Pretty straightforward. You got an arrow there telling you that. And here are the different LUTs that we have installed already ourselves onto this monitor. But for an example, let's go ahead and replace LUT number 7 with another LUT that we have onto the USB drive. So LUT number 7, we'll scroll down to it. We'll use the arrow over here and it's asking us, do you want to overwrite LUT number 7? Yes, we sure do. So we're going to go ahead and press confirm. And sometimes it might say no media, but just go ahead and do that again and go back to confirm. And boom, now we're going to come over here and see the LUTs that we have onto the USB drive. And now we can go ahead and select which LUT specifically we want to use. So for an example, we're going to load Zcam S6, color space transform, CST, 65 point LUT. We're just going to go ahead and press down onto the joystick, so press in, and now it's writing that LUT file to the monitor so it can be saved onto the monitor. So as you see, the file write is complete. The LUT is now installed onto the monitor, so just go ahead and press OK. And now it's listed over there, LUT number 7, Zcam S6 CST. Perfect, so we can back out of this. And now when we come back over here to color camera, we want to control HDMI input number 3 as that's what we're looking at. And we can come over here to which LUT do we want to use. And we want to select LUT number 7 for an example, Zcam S6 CST 65 point. Perfect. Just like that, now we have our LUT applied. So moving along over here, I want to go ahead and get you guys a little bit more familiar with the custom function buttons F1, 2, 3, and 4 that I've actually assigned to turn on or turn off the tools that we have within the monitor. And then we'll have a closer look at the tools that we have available. So we are able to assign 4 of them, for an example, right over here to quickly access and turn on and off those tools. So if I press F1 for an example, it's going to bring up this little side menu. And if I go ahead and, for an example, press it again, it's now going to bring up that I've custom configured to bring up my multi-scope waveforms over here, along with my histogram, my vector scope, and my audio level meters, and as well as having a preview of the image that I have assigned for one of my inputs. So this is nice and convenient to be able to turn on and turn off, just to kind of check all of our levels over here. So let's go ahead and turn that one off. And we're going to press F2, and that I custom assigned to actually be my false color. So here we have a false color of our image, and we have different options within the false color settings that we can do a custom one, we can use spectrum, and we can also use the one coming from the camera as well. So let's go ahead and turn this false color off. So now let's go ahead and press F3, which F3 is actually my focus assist. It's basically like a focus peaking. I've set the color to be a red color, also the sensitivity as well. So overall, it's nice to be able to either turn on or turn off the focus assist, focus peaking, to help you focus your image when you're on set. So let's go ahead and turn off the focus assist, and let's take a look at the last one, F4. And F4 is basically assigned in my case to be my aspect ratio. This is basically like a cinema aspect ratio. You can see the black bars on the top and bottom. This actually looks really nice. Very impressed with all of these quick access menus. So let's go ahead and turn this off. Again, we can have multiple of them on at the same time. However you want to apply these tools, you can do that as you like to. So let's go ahead and have a closer look at the tools that we have available within this monitor. So what we want to do over here is just press downwards on this joystick. Again, it's going to bring up this little menu here, and you can see if you want tools, you need to press to the right arrow. And now we have this tool menu that we're going to be able to basically select what tool we want to turn on and configure it in a little bit more details. But let's go over here to add new tool, and we're going to slide to the right with this joystick. And now we have all of these different options. Underneath framing, we have aspect, safe area, we got center, crosshatch, and anamorphic. Underneath the expose option, we have false color, zebras, waveform, vector scopes, histogram. And as far as focus category, we have focus assist, which I had on, focus peaking, And analyst, we have the multi-scopes, which I have enabled onto one of my function buttons. And we also got the audio meter and time code as well. So let's go ahead and select one of them over here. For an example, let's go to Anamorphic. So for us to select Anamorphic, what we're going to do, you can see over here onto the top menu, it's kind of telling you what you need to press. So we're going to press to the right, basically assign the Anamorphic tool to that tool option over here. So now if we want to turn on the Anamorphic, we can just toggle it by rotating this dial. But if I wanted to go into the anamorphic settings in a little bit more detail, I would suggest to turn it on. And then now we can come over here for an example, and we can magnify that, either turn it on or turn it off. And we can also tell the ratio of that anamorphic as well. So right now it's set to 1.33 times, or we also have these other options, 1.4 times, 1.5, 1.6, 1.65, 1.79, 1.8, 1.9, and 2 times as well. And 1.25, 1.33, here we are back again, and any lens direction if we want to adjust it horizontally or if we want to adjust it vertically. So in most cases with the anamorphic lenses that I have this set to horizontally at 1.3 times, and magnify, I usually have it set to off. So we're pretty much done over here. So at any time, you can turn anamorphic on or off. Let's go ahead and add a new tool over here just to go ahead and demonstrate. For an example, let's come over here to audio meter. So I want to add an audio meter over here. So let's turn on the audio meter right here, bottom right hand side. But now let's go into the audio meter level settings for an example. So let's come down over here to the audio meter position. So we can position this onto the bottom right or onto the bottom left. We'll just leave it onto the bottom right for now. And the transparency, right now it's set to 0, but if it's blocking our image, we can set this in increments of 25%. This is 75%, this is 50, 25, and 0. And if I wanted to turn it on or off, I can do so by just rotating this joystick. Let's go ahead and add one more for an example. Let's come over here to zebras. Okay, so here we have zebras. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Let's come over here to the zebra settings. So we got over here tone 1 minimum. Right now it's set to 0%, but we can increase this all the way up to 100%. And we can kind of just custom configure this as we want to. We got tone max, tone 1 max, we can adjust this, and we got tone 2 minimum and maximum as well. So we can go ahead and basically custom assign our zebra percentages as we want. So let's just go ahead and come back over here and we'll just turn this off for now. And let's add a new tool. Let's see what else we got over here. Crosshatch, yeah, we got that one. Zebras, waveform, vector scope, focus peaking. Yeah, you know what? Let's go to crosshatch for an example. This is another common one that I use. So let's go ahead and turn that on. And you can see that we have our nice 3x3 composition over here, grid that's going to help us with the rule of thirds, and we can assign this to a 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, etc., all the way up to 9x9. So in most cases I use a 3x3, and we can easily turn this on or turn this off. And basically we can assign any one of our custom function buttons to any one of these tools that we just had a brief look at over here. So let's get out of this menu, and I want to show you another quick thing over here. So we're going to press this joystick down and it's going to open up over here to the top. So the most of the time we've been just going into this gear icon over here that you see is highlighted in orange. But if I wanted to adjust the brightness of the monitor, I can come over here to the brightness by just rotating the dial. There's the brightness, and I can now press this joystick downwards. So currently right now the monitor is set to 5 as far as the brightness, but we can bring this down all the way down to 0 and all the way up to 10. So at 10 it's going to be at its full brightness at 1500 nits, and in this case for this video I feel anywhere between 3 and 5 is a reasonable exposure for my camera. So we can go ahead and press the joystick up, and we're going to come over here to volume, because a volume is another thing that we can actually hear and monitor for each one of our inputs. So right now I have the volume level set to 0, but if I wanted to, we can increase this all the way up to 31. So now we're going to be able to get audio. We're going to be able to hear audio from the monitor itself. So for an example, let me just go ahead and turn this down so it doesn't affect the audio for this video that I'm recording right now. But basically now we can hear the audio coming from the speaker over here, the built-in speaker into the monitor, and also hear the audio if we plug in our headphones, just so we can adjust the level of the audio that we're monitoring. So another thing I wanted to show you guys, remember that tool list with all of our tools? So again, if we press down onto the joystick and now we press to the right onto the joystick, it's going to open up all of these tools that we have available: crosshatch, zebra, audio meter, anamorphic. So we specifically set what tools we want to be displayed here. But again, we do have more tool options. And guess what? Right now, this is considered as my set number 1, which is displayed over here, number 1. But we do have an option to add, I believe, up to 8 different sets. So basically 8 different pages with different tools on it. So depending on how you want to film, maybe you're filming a vertical video or landscape video, or you want to film with whatever kind of configuration and tools that you've assigned, we can actually select the different sets. So how do we switch from our different sets? Well, we can go ahead and press down onto this joystick. And again, this menu here at the top, again, is very helpful, and it's telling you to rotate this dial to switch between the different sets. So right now, this is set 1. This is set 2, you can see over here onto the top of the monitor, and this is set 3. So let's go to set 2. And what do they mean by set 2? Well, take a look at the tools over here in the set 2. We have multi-scope, we have false color, we have zebra, we got waveform, we got vector scope, we got histogram, and so on. So what does that mean? Well, depending on what you're filming or how you want to configure this monitor, you can easily switch to up to 8 different sets, which is going to allow you to quickly and easily access multiple different tools. So let's go ahead and rotate this to set number 3. Okay, so now coming over here to set 3, you can see it's displayed there at to the top. And now if I scroll over to the right, which is going to enter into the tools, here we have focus assist in this set. Here we have peaking in this set, and we can continue to add more tools as we want to. Another one that I wanted to show you over here is aspect, because I really do appreciate this one. So let's go ahead and turn on the aspect. And let's toggle over, because we do have quite a few different settings over here. So for some of you may want to be filming vertical video, no problem. The Mega 22S4 has us covered, because we have all of these different ratios for an example over here. And along with the vertical ratio over here, 9:16 for our mobile phones. So let's just go ahead and adjust the transparency. So right now it's at 50%, here 75, or we got 25, or 0. So let's use 0 as an example, and let's back out of here so you guys can see the full view and take a look at that. Now we have aspect ratio that's going to help us frame our 9:16 images, or whatever option you want to select for an aspect ratio. So let's go ahead and come back into here. Let's adjust the aspect a little bit more. We got 2:3, 4:5, 1:1, custom. So over here in custom, you can actually adjust these lines according to wherever you want, to whatever aspect ratio you want to select. So from all the presets that we have available over here and having the custom, we really have a lot of flexibility to whatever we want to use. All right, guys, moving along, I want to show you guys another useful feature that's built into this monitor that's going to allow us to zoom into our image either ×2 or ×4 and really move it around to actually make sure that whatever we want to be in focus is in focus. So that's definitely going to be very helpful. So let's use this joystick to press downwards, and it's going to open up again this menu here towards the top, and you'll see onto the top left hand side it says zoom. Press the arrow upwards, the joystick upwards, which is going to bring us into the 2x zoom over here. So now if we go ahead and press up on the joystick again, it's going to bring us to 4x zoom. So let's come back over here to 2x zoom, and we're going to press into the joystick, and now it's going to give us controls to actually move around specifically wherever we want into our image that we want to focus on or just kind of concentrate on to make sure that we are in focus. So this is definitely very helpful, very convenient, and I think it's going to be a nice feature that I'm definitely going to be able to take advantage of and easily access over here. So now for an example, we can turn on focus peaking, make sure that we're in focus over here. Now we just want to go ahead and back out and take a look at our full screen image over here. All right, guys, moving along over here, I wanted to quickly go ahead and go through the menu settings that we have available here onto this monitor. So we're going to press down onto this joystick, and now we're going to press down onto the joystick again to enter into this menu. And starting off over here at the top in regards to the display, we have source allocation. So we're just going to press the joystick over to the right to enter into there. And here we're going to be able to tell the monitor and configure it. What do we want to be displayed as our main window? So we can select any one of our SDI inputs or HDMI inputs. So right now I have it set to HDMI 1, but we can set it to HDMI 2 or 3 or SDI 1, 2, and 3. So in most cases, I just have it configured like this: main window, HDMI input 1, but you can set it to whatever you want. As we move along over here, so these sub windows. So remember when we have multiple images of video signals being displayed at one time? Well, what other image do you want to be displayed over here out of your inputs? So we have sub window 1. We can select, again, any one of our inputs that we want to assign over here. Same with sub 2 window, same idea, select which input you want to be displayed, and the sub 3 window, you can configure it to whatever you want to be displayed over here as well. So now that you're a little bit more familiar with that, let's back out of here. Let's go over here to see what other options we have available. So for an example, the display rotate, so we can rotate this display if you need to. For an example, main image rotate. So it's going to be basically presented to us upside down 180 degrees. In most cases, I leave these all to 0, but we have the same settings over here for each one of our inputs. Let's back out of here. And we're going to come over here to probe location just to get you guys a little bit more familiar. So probe location, to me, basically what that means is your waveform and basically your vector scope and your histogram. How do you want it to be displayed? You want it to have a reading before the LUT or after the LUT? In most cases, I like to have it set to before the LUT. Let's back out of here and see what other options we have. Display status. So the information that we have here at the top of the screen, which shows us the resolution and the frames per second. And basically we can kind of configure how we want it to be set. Right now I have it set to auto, but we can set it to be always on, or we can set it to be off. So it's always going to be a nice clear image. I like to have it on auto. So basically after a few seconds, it times out and it goes away. Let's back out of here. Let's see what other options we have here underneath color manager. We have range dynamics, so we can enter in over here. So each one of our inputs, for an example, all of our HDMIs and all of our SDIs, we can basically configure how we want that to be displayed. So let's come over here to HDMI 1 for an example. So right now I have the data range set to 64 to 940, but we could also set this to 0 all the way up to 1023. And let's go ahead and see what other option here. We got input matrix, which is going to allow us to configure basically the source. What source do we want and how do we want those options to be displayed? In most cases, I always use auto, but we have Rec 601 and we have Rec 709 and also Rec 2020 as well. So auto in most cases has been working perfectly for me. And let's come over here to SDI signal format. Same idea. We can go ahead and select any one of our SDI inputs and we can configure how we want that signal format to be. Again, I always use auto, but we have the option to select 422 10-bit. We got 422 12-bit, 444 10-bit, and 444 12-bit as well, and 444 RGB 10-bit, and 444 RGB 12-bit, and 444 12-bit XYZ. So in most cases, I just leave mine to auto because auto is what's been working best for me for my SDI inputs and HDMI inputs. And camera color, we already looked at this earlier. This is where we're going to be able to select our user LUTs that we want to use or any one of these log profiles that we have preset within this monitor. Let's come back over here to color temperature. I've been setting this all by default, but we do have color temp D65, D93, and user that we can custom configure as we want to. So we'll just leave this by default D65 because this monitor is really color accurate. Let's come over here to load user LUTs as we talked about. This is our LUT list, and we can load our own LUTs right over here via the USB drive. Let's come back to the menu and we're going to scroll down underneath system, some monitor info. So at the time of making this video, the firmware version that I have is 11.00, the build info, serial number, and model 22S4. Let's back out of here. We can adjust the language, which I'm not going to adjust right now. Advanced setup, so we can basically execute a factory reset, factory manage as well, and color calibrate if you need to as well, which is also a nice feature that we can do directly onto this monitor by connecting the USB-C cable at the back of the monitor. So we'll exit out of here, and the helper display, which I definitely recommend keeping that on because I really feel that it helps you navigate and control this monitor, because it's telling you, for an example, on what buttons you need to press onto this joystick to either enter or exit or scroll or adjust any of your settings. Let's back out of this, and the function key. So this is where I went to go ahead and assign function 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's enter into here. So we have the mode key, the layout configuration. We can go ahead and turn these on. So by default, some of these were actually set to off, but I preferred to kind of turn them all on. We do have 3 different pages, and basically they're just all of our inputs. SDI inputs and HDMI inputs, and along with all those multi-source views that we had where all of those video images were side by side and whatnot. And if we go ahead over here, scroll down, so we got function 1, we can select any one of our tools from 1 to 8 as you see here, and we can also select the function button to go and open up our main window if we want. We can open up the sub window number 1, sub number 2 window, sub number 3 window, and any one of our tools as I just mentioned. So I have it configured to function 1, tool 1, function tool, tool 2, and so on. Let's back out of this. And for the most part, that's everything that we have over here within the menu. I think you guys are now really familiar with this monitor as far as the menu settings, along with adjusting the brightness, the volume, all the different sets. So again, you remember how we had 3 different sets by default? Well, we can add more sets right over here. So it's going to ask us, are you sure you want to add a new My Set? And we're going to scroll over here, go ahead and select confirm. And now it just added my set number 4, which can be displayed over here. And now when I go ahead to the tools, I have a blank new set tools to work from that I can add all the tools specifically that I want to add. All right, guys, next I wanted to go ahead and briefly demonstrate that we can simply rotate this monitor from the horizontal position that we've been using right here to the vertical portrait position because of the style mount that we have at the back of the monitor. And also I like to show you guys, remember those multi-source views options that we had over here, that we had a bunch of different images, videos being inputted onto the display at one time. I also want to show you how we can incorporate that when we have the monitor in the vertical portrait position. So let's go ahead and take off the monitor from the C-stand. So you can see over here at the back of the monitor, we do have this style mount over here that allows us to position the monitor. So I just loosened it up over here with this little arm, and now I'm going to be able to simply lift up the monitor. And this is going to be a little bit difficult without resting it down, but let's just go ahead and attempt. We're going to unlock it. We're going to slide this mount off to the side and then slide it in this way. And now we can position this monitor. Let's flip it around here. Position it like so, tighten it up, and bingo, here we are. So to help to demonstrate and give you guys an example on how we can use this monitor in the portrait vertical position, I've also configured one of my PTZ cameras over here in the vertical portrait position as well, just in case you may want to be filming some social media content in the 9:16 aspect ratio. So let's go ahead and switch to this camera's SDI input, which is SDI number 1, input number 1. Okay, give the monitor a few seconds to switch over. And bingo, here we are. Now we're looking at a view coming from this PTZ camera over here, again positioned in the portrait vertical position. And now we have a full screen 9:16 of one of our inputs. And you can do this for all of your inputs if you want, if you have your camera configured in that orientation, or maybe you're using OpenGate for an example. It's going to be definitely very helpful. So let's go ahead and switch over to one of the multi-source layouts to give you guys an example on how we can incorporate using the monitor in this vertical orientation to see multiple different sources at the same time. So let's press this button over here and switch from SDI input number 1 to multi-source layout number 2, which is going to give us 2 inputs, picture on top of picture. As you can see, both of them 16:9, one image on top of the other. This is a nice little layout over here that can definitely be very useful if you're using 2 cameras, and maybe you're going to be switching back and forth from some vertical content as well. You can monitor as well by switching the different inputs or layouts. Another example over here is layout number 5. Let's switch over to that one. This one can also be very useful. So Here we go. This is layout number 5. You can see that we have 3 images over here, 16 by 9, which can be definitely very helpful. And again, don't forget, you can also use this layout, multi-source layout, with the monitor in the landscape orientation, and you can have your cameras positioned in the vertical position, if that makes sense to you. So it's really customizable. You can kind of do anything that you want depending on whatever you're filming, which is really cool. Another example might be this one over here, multi-source number 6. Let's have a look, which is the 4 inputs. Okay, so this one right here might not be the best example right now, because out of my 4 inputs over here, only one of them onto the bottom left is actually configured the camera itself to be positioned in the vertical position. The other 3 cameras are not, but if I had 4 cameras in total and they were all positioned in the vertical positioning, and I wanted to film some social media content in that aspect ratio, this can also be a nice layout to use as well. So really customizable, and definitely very impressive that we have all of these options available to us. And I know this has been a request that a lot of people have been asking for, and there you go. Osee has now delivered. Well, guys, that's a wrap for today's video. I do not want to hold you guys any longer. I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. If you made it this far, you already know what to do. Like, share, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know down into the comment section down below. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Till next time, peace.